into this entire matter, uh, everyone involved in the Franklin scandal is a conservative Republican, not a rhino. Okay. Um, but a Reagan style Republican. This was the 80s. Uh, so, ideologies aside, and then we had I guess I could. This is getting even more far or wide ranging, but we had the Georgia state senator, the lady, I can't remember her name right now either, who was talking about corruption in child protected services and how children were being farmed out to pedophiles, and then she suddenly dies in a murder suicide involving her husband. When she and her husband did not fit the murder suicide profile in any way whatsoever. Um, and things like this happen all the time. They've been happening. Uh, to me, it's the number one issue of our times. Aside from something like abortion, which I also feel very strongly about, but I'm aware that that's something that's a that's a that's an issue that uh, that also has been partisanized, and I don't think it should be a partisan issue. But anyway, I'll set that aside for now. I mean, the evils of abortion and the evil of high-level child trafficking. They're both really bad, but high-level child trafficking is something that happens behind the scenes. High-level child trafficking is a part of it's a part of the power structure that rules the world, and governs, like a mafia. When you come to learn that a mafia basically runs the world, and I don't know, maybe worse than the mafia, maybe the worst aspects of the mafia, because when you think of the mafia, I mean, at least there's respect for family. You wouldn't think that mafia types would, while they're violent thugs and murderers and the like, you wouldn't think that they'd be into, doing stuff to little kids. So it's like a mafia of truly depraved people. And so all of this comes to mind for me. Again, I'll bring it back to Trump in a second. But all of this came to mind for me when I was watching the Sean Atwood video that he recently did with Phoenix Enigma, where they were talking about Isaac Cappy, and I definitely recommend watching that. But and I was Team Isaac all the way. I thought he was a righteous dude, not perfect, but I thought he was trying to do the right thing. But you had people like Isaac and like many others who are good, well-meaning people who are horrified by the same kind of things that I'm horrified by, who we're on the same side, we're aware of the same problem, but they, to me, seem to have bought into this idea that it's a partisan phenomenon, that it's it's a problem of the Democrats, or the liberals, and there has been a liberalization of morals, which has not had a salubrious effect on sexual mores. And there is a faction of sexual libertines out there who say, well, who justify sexual stuff involving children. That's definitely true. But you also have this this more sinister phenomenon, or not more sinister, but more more insidious phenomenon of people who pretend to be righteous leaders, but who are actually practicing this awful lifestyle and committing these terrible crimes against children, living a secret life in which they do these things, and that's not the face they show to the public. So, it's a two-front battle. There's the effort to liberalize, to libertinize, to degenerate, to degenerate the faithful, to quote the Clash. I mean, there's that aspect of the problem, and there's also the fact that this is a phenomenon that takes place, that seems to be a part of what Jason Horsley calls the superculture. He says, he calls it the Hollywood superculture, and it's also, I think, a superculture among the elite generally. And superculture is the word that he uses because it's something, unlike subculture, it's not above the culture, the main culture. It's not below the main culture. It's above the main culture. That in the sense that it exists amongst these rich, powerful elites with lots of control, lots of influence, lots of power. So again, my question, and I'm not. I want to look at it as a cost-benefit analysis sort of way. I think that if we look at the pros of QAnon, is that it's brought more people in to this kind of understanding, but has it brought them into a fullness of this kind of understanding? That's the real question. Has it brought them in only to this type of understanding that, in a way, tickles their ears, and that it assures them that the people that they like, the people who are on their side, don't have these kinds of problems, but the enemy, the people who are on the other side, they're the ones who have these problems, who do these kinds of things, and so forth. When in fact, it's everyone. It's or it's not everyone, but it's ubiquitous across the political spectrum. So we have more people coming into this understanding, but we have, over the last 3 or 4 years with QAnon, but there are fewer people, I think, who have a fullness of this understanding of the extent of the problem, looked at in a non-partisan way, looked at, looked at as a problem of this, again to use Jason Horsley's word, this super culture as represented by these elites in various industries. And I don't call them elites because I think that they're better than us. They're elites because, in the sense that they have power, control, influence, and so forth, and they can, get they could get their way very easily, with no repercussions. The true rulers of the world. the true dictators of the world, who rule extra constitutionally. They are the ones, I think, against whom we should be training our artillery and turning our attention to. And rather than engaging in this kind of partisan battle, this pitched partisan battle, which turns us against one another, which makes us hate one another, and makes us scapegoat certain groups where the real evil goes unpunished. We scapegoat, or some, I'm not saying we, but some people see immigrants as the problem, right? And I'm not saying I'm pro open borders. I'm not. But the push for open borders is largely due to the fact that these evil, depraved people want to do evil, depraved things to immigrant children. So who's the real evil? It's not our fellow citizens struggling to get by, or they're not citizens. Our fellow human beings struggling to get by, who cross the border illegally or something like that. And again, I'm not justifying that, although I'm sure some people will claim that I am. But the real enemy are the ones pulling the strings, causing these things to happen, and exploiting the same ones who exploit the chaos of war, the same ones who exploit the horrors of poverty, we saw what they did to a place like Haiti, right? The way that they were taking Haitian children away and trying to use them as trying to sell them, essentially. That's all like that happened. That came into the spotlight a few years ago, but that's all part of this larger picture. Anyway, I've gone on for a bit too long, and I know I've been a bit more rambling than usual and longer than usual. And I think ordinarily in the past I would have done a live cast, but since my main channel was taken down, I don't have enough followers to do live casts, so I'm just recording this as a full video. Thank you for watching, and let me know if you have any ideas. So the open question is, has Trump been good or bad? Has QAnon been good or bad for greater awareness of pedogate? I've given my opinion on this subject, and I'm interested to hear yours. Thanks for watching. My name's Andy Nowicki. Check me out at altrightnovelist.com.